Now, with a slow news day with the Mets being off yesterday, if you were on social media, you probably saw Spike Eskin of WIP in Philadelphia make some comments about the Mets and potentially cheating. And, it was just clickbait at the end of the day. He's just trying to imply something that he knows isn't true. He's trying to get people to comment on it. And I'm taking the bait, so I will comment on it here. But first, I want to show you the video in case you haven't seen it, and here that is.
I was doing a statistical deep dive on the Mets.
Great.
I'm not saying that they're cheating.
Uh-oh.
But there's something fishy going on this year with the Mets. So the Mets this year, again, I'm not saying that they're cheating. I'm just saying that maybe somebody should take a look into what's going on.
You're waiting for the deep expose report?
Well, and I'm looking at my phone because I have some statistics here. So the Mets at home this year are 32-13, which is a 7-11 winning percentage. The Mets on the road this year are 19-25, which is a 432 winning percentage.
It's almost impossible.
Which is a difference of a plus 0.279, so almost a 280 winning percentage difference. So I went back through history, and I was like, have there been a lot of teams that have had this split? And they have, but they're all in Minnesota and Colorado. Now, Colorado...
Minnesota's a weird one, though.
Well, Minnesota used to have the sightlines and the dome were always weird. And by the way, like, they admitted at one point to like piping in noise and piping in wind and all that. But you look at the biggest splits of all time. The first one was 2020. Don't count that. It's Colorado, Minnesota, Colorado, 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 Minnesota. So like this would be the seventh biggest home road split difference in the history of baseball. So you might say to yourself, well, maybe historically at Citi Field, the Mets are way better at home than they are on the road.
Maybe it's such a hitter's advantage there at Citi Field.
Actually, that's not the case, Jack.
Not surprised.
This would be triple the difference between their home and road split than a normal season at Citi Field. It would be their largest home road split in the history of Citi Field by 30%. And almost triple what normal is. Some seasons at Citi Field, they've even had a better record away from Citi Field than they've had at home in Citi Field. So I ask you, I could figure out Minnesota. I can figure out Colorado. There's a Cubs one mixed in there as well. You just have to ask yourself, in this era of baseball cheating, and again, I'm not saying the Mets are cheating.
Sure.
I'm just saying... that maybe somebody should take a look at what's going on.
Now you can see in that video, he's implying that the Mets are cheating at home. He's not saying it, but he's implying it, saying that they should be investigated. And what he's saying is true in some ways. The Mets are very much a better home team than they are a road team, as many teams are, as I'll explain in this going forward. I'm not going to go into the petty stuff about how, basically Philadelphia fans are hated by every other fan base in sports, not just in baseball, but Phillies fans, Eagles fans, Flyers fans, they're all hated because that's just how their fan base is. They're kind of nasty people. They're not very nice, which is fine if you want to be known for that, and they seem to revel in it, and that's all good. I'm not going to talk about basically how Spike Eskin is a Nepo baby or that he ruined WFAN by turning them into the clickbait garbage they all are today. But I do want to talk a little bit about what he said here. Now, he said that he has facts, and he's looked throughout history and statistics and all this stuff, right? And the Mets have a 271 better home winning percentage than their road winning percentage. And that's true. They do. The Mets have been much better at home this year, and they've spoken about that. The players have spoken about how it just feels like a playoff atmosphere in every home game. The Mets are selling out weekday games against the Pirates, getting 40,000 people to come watch them play the Pirates or the Blue Jays or whoever's coming into town. It's not just the Yankee series. It's not just the Braves and the Phillies series. It's everyone. And I think that's making a huge difference for the Mets. They've spoken about it. Every single time you ask them about winning a game at home, they thank the fans and say they love playing in front of the fans. And they haven't been as comfortable on the road. I think going a team like the Mets, who have such a great atmosphere at home and have created such a home field advantage, when they go on the road, it's a little bit of a letdown. When you are playing in front of 40,000 people every night and then you go away and you're playing in front of 15 or 20,000 people, it doesn't have the same juice. It doesn't have the same vibe. And that's a problem for the Mets. I'm not saying it's not. It's something that they have to get over and perform better on the road. And there's no question about that. But you can see why that would be an issue. Also, if you look around the league, it's not that crazy for teams to have a much better home winning percentage than road. If you look at the Blue Jays, they're 32-16 at home. They're 21-22 on the road. It's not as crazy as the Mets, but it's still a 178 winning percentage difference. The Padres, who are a pretty good team, 27-16 at home, 21-26 on the road. Cardinals, 26-17 at home, 22-26 on the road. And by the way, the Mets don't have the biggest winning percentage difference in the league. That would go to the lowly 38-54 Pittsburgh Pirates, because the Pirates are 5 games over 500 at home at 26-21, and they're 12-33 on the road. So should the Pirates also be investigated? If we're going to investigate the Mets, we should investigate the Pirates too, right? But no, because they don't win, it's not a big deal. This is really just a case of the Phillies being broken by the Mets. It happened last year in the playoffs, where the Mets embarrassed the Phillies in the playoffs last year. An easy, basically a gentleman's sweep there. And the Phillies have never recovered. The Phillies beat the Mets this year in a series in which the Mets were completely struggling, but the Mets still have the season series record over them. The Mets broke the Phillies. And you can see by this, they're looking for any excuse. If the Mets were losing, they would say, oh, LOL Mets, it's the same old Mets. But because the Mets are winning, now they must be cheating or they're doing something wrong. It's the narrative we always see. It's fine. Listen, like I said before, this was all clickbait. This was to get people talking, and I'm probably buying into it here by talking about it. But you have to kind of set the record straight. It's not... He wanted to say he came with facts, and really, there was no facts behind it. The Mets, yes, they're better at home than they are on the road. There's no doubt about it. But they're not the only team. So that's really all I wanted to say. I'm not going to get too crazy, but this was definitely just some clickbait crap, just some stuff he wanted to cause some controversy here where there really isn't one. And the Phillies right now are ahead of the Mets in the standings. The Phillies should be feeling good about being in first place. The problem is they can't feel good about being in first place because they know they're lucky to be there right now because the Mets are coming. And they don't expect that from the Mets. They expected that from the Braves this year. They didn't expect it from the Mets. And they know that they're a team that is at the end of their championship window. They have older players who are going into free agency after this year. They're not all coming back. This is the end for them. If they don't do it this year, when are they going to do it? They know they're at the end. The Mets window is starting and theirs is ending. And this is kind of their last gasp. And it's fine. It is what it is. We'll see a lot more of this. People get desperate when they're at the end, right? They start to lash out. And this is what we're seeing. But anyway, that's really all I got. And until next time, let's go Mets.